defense. How do you feel coming off of a game where things kind of got out of control so quickly?
Um, just a bad day in the office, obviously. Um, Moved on from that game. I don't want to talk about that, but we just didn't play good. We got to play better, and we'll do that this week. So.
What would you want to see this weekend to kind of feel like the defense is moving in the right direction going into the bye week?
I win. So our main focus is trying to find a way to win. So.
When coaches talk about people learning how to rush off of you, it's often like after the snap, what you create, what attention you're creating, and then how people need to win their one-on-ones, things like that. But is there anything about also how teams are reacting to you pre-snap that young players can learn how to read or learn how to understand the way patterns will unfold?
I guess listen to the calls and things like that help. Picking up through the game, certain calls you hear, certain slide protections you hear, can help you too to be able to know where the center slide and where they slide the protection, so you'll be able to play fast and understand what's going on. So.
Why do you think it's been so tough for you guys to win at Green Bay?
I don't know. I don't know. Just got to find a way to win this week. So.
Do you have any specific recollections of games there the last few years? Anything that stands out in your mind?
No good games, so not really. Nope, none. So.
You've been limited in some of that, though, health-wise. So I guess, is there anything for the positive that you're anticipating in terms of getting out there and being healthy and going on the road there?
Just playing a game, trying to do my part. Obviously, the main focus is just trying to find a way to win. Definitely going into a bye, you want to go in with some type of momentum. And it'd be a lot better if we can get this win this week and get back healthy and then come back and get on a little roll. So.
Do you, Aaron, have any memories? I know it's been a while, but when Matt LaFleur was here on the staff, anything you remember about him and that season when he was part of the staff?
That was a great year for us. A lot of fun. We scored a lot of points. Had a lot of opportunities to get after the quarterback. So, obviously, I think it was a great year for us. Obviously, went to the Super Bowl. Fell short, but it was a fun year for us. So, like I said, a lot of scoring, a lot of opportunities to get after the opposing team's quarterback and make plays. So,
What have you seen from Ripen on the scout when he's running scout team?
Moving around, doing a lot of good things, making a lot of good throws, doing things that you want to see, helping us to get better. So, obviously, you have confidence in that aspect that he's going to do what he need to do. So.
Obviously there's a method to scout where like you're running plays that you know the defense needs to see, but I think in the past there's been some cases where quarterbacks have also been encouraged to create when possible. Is he someone who can do that or has done that or showed anyone sort of flashes in that regard?
He was making some good throws at practice throughout the season, making it tough on us. Definitely, like you said, extending plays with his feet, running around in the pocket at times and making some good throws down the field, some accurate passes. So it's things like that you see. And I said, obviously, you want your guys out there, but you're confident with the next guy up because you see things like that. So.
Is it a little strange studying film of the Packers and not seeing Aaron Rodgers?
I'm kind of happy we don't get to see Aaron Rodgers, so I don't really care. But obviously, they got a young quarterback there, so we just got to try to do our job to, make our plays. But it feel pretty good not seeing him back there. So. Yeah.
what are these weeks like when you're coaching against your brother?
You don't even think about it during the week. You can't. There's just too much. You're worried about yourself, worried about the opponent. I'm more worried about Joe Barry than going against Matt and what these players are going to do. But it's the 7th time that I've gone up against him. So it's almost just become a normal. Seriously, you don't even think about it. And it'd be cool after the game, particularly if we get the result that we want. But right now, honestly, not even worried about it.
Do you guys and your families like get into a routine over the years of, okay, we don't bring this up this week, or we?
I really the only person in the family during the week outside of my wife and kids that I talk to is my brother. We're still talking. We're just not talking about X's and O's, obviously. So I don't even know what my mom and dad and the aunts and uncles and cousins and everyone. I don't know. It's their kind of deal. And I know Matt's focused on his squad. We're focused on our squad, and we kind of go from there. And that's the truth.
Were you guys competitive with each other growing up?
We were. I mean, I was over 7 years younger than him, so I was the annoying little brother. And there's plenty of stories out there about how annoying I was toward him. Usually I was not the one getting in trouble because I was the younger brother. But no, I looked up to him like crazy, right? Especially as I just kind of got more involved with sports and my love for sports. So, again, I was annoying with him, but we're pretty tight.
How do your guys' parents choose which teams to root for in a situation like this? So do they have it down at this point with this being the 7th time this is going on?
Yeah, I mean, they like me more, so that's an easy answer.
Is there you guys are both coaching among the generally youngest teams in football? I think is the youngest.
Sure.
In football. Is there like a shared bond outside of this week, a shared bond or learning that comes from that, and that's a pretty shared experience?
It's a great question because we actually have had those conversations more this year than we have in the past. He's typically had a pretty veteran group over there, starting with their quarterback and all that. And for the last, I'd say, 7 years of my personal coaching career, I've had typically a very young group. So it's the first time he's actually kind of been asking me some questions about some things in terms of, having younger players and stuff like that. So it's been, I think, great dialogue with it. And, there's the challenges with the youth, but there's also you love it because you get to watch these guys grow, and sometimes you don't get the results that you want on Sunday, but you also know that you're going to stick to your process, and these guys are just trying to do right and learn, and they're going to feed off of younger guys are going to feed off of coaches more than sometimes the older guys. So it's a great challenge that they're going through, and I know they'll come out on top. Hopefully, obviously not this Sunday.
I know you're not even focused beyond today.
It's the
and
truth,
Sunday.
Gary.
I know, but in the off season or whatever, I mean, have you ever envisioned what it would be like to actually be coaching against him as a head coach? Having that handshake in the middle of the field and being on an NFL field together as two head coaches.
I have not. Him and I have never talked about that. The amount of stuff that as a play calling head coach like Matt and like Sean, it makes me not even want to think about it at all. And that's the truth, Right now, again, just obviously, I mean, it's status quo, coaching these guys to get ready to go play in a tough environment against a good defense, So, but no, to answer your question, truthfully, I mean, we haven't talked about that, and I haven't thought about that. It's been unique, I mean, but again, the more we've played, the more it's just kind of become normal, so.
What have you seen from the Packers defense?
They're good. I mean, it starts with here we are. It starts with their front. They've had guys on that front that have been playing in that system for quite a while now, been Packers for quite a while now. Obviously, Rashawn just got, what he deserved. I think it was this week or whenever it was. And you can tell he's not just kind of back. He's fully back and what Preston can do. And Kenny Clark, I mean, they're talented up there, and they run a difficult scheme, it limits explosives, so we got our hands full. Had to go against them last year in Lambeau and know what kind of challenges that presents. It'll be the same thing for our guys this year.
A few more guys. What have you seen from Brett so far in practice this week?
Command, I mean, he's a pro. He's still obviously a young guy. I mean, he hasn't been in this league all but since 2019. But when he's standing back there behind Matthew every day, he's taking you tell these guys to take mental reps, but some guys probably aren't to the ability that they probably need to as professionals. He just goes above and beyond. I mean, he's taken as much of the physical rep as possible without obviously throwing the ball and having a pass rush in him, but he's taking the drop, he's going through the reads. It's Drew Brees-esque back there in terms of the preparation and how he handles those reps. It takes great just stamina to mental stamina to do it day in and day out and actually not be the guy doing it in practice. And we'll see what happens on Sunday, in terms of who's out there. But, he's obviously, getting the reps right now, and he's doing the best he can.
When most backup quarterbacks say that they prepare as if they're the starter every week,
Sure.
Other than actually taking the reps in practice, is there anything that looks different for him, say, preparing like he is playing a game versus actually might start?
No, just getting the reps, because again, he's preparing back there like Matthew's going to go down at any minute, and so now he's just obviously in practice right now, just taking the snaps, and again, he operates at a level that like he's been out there forever because of how much work he puts into it, and he's just made of the right stuff.
You've also been a part of like the backup quarterback identification process a couple times in your career, and I kind of wonder when you're working with limited resources allotted to the position, B, a specific type of player who is going to be able to capably run the practice that he needs to do while also preparing for, just like what you said,
Right.
just in case. What is that line like to walk as a coaching staff, not just in the talent identification and player identification, but also the, development process?
No, it's a really good question, because there's so many talented players out there in terms of just throwing the football and playing pitch and catch with in shorts and stuff like that, but that's not real football. And so when you get these backups, there's so much that goes into it in terms of, do you trust them when their number's called? Because inevitably for 20 of the 32 teams, the backup's going to be in at some point, whether it be an injury or whatnot, So, and you really learn that through COVID in terms of how many guys were missing, stuff like that, and what guys are truly prepared when their number's called, because they're not going to get those reps. And, so it's a big deal. It's something that I don't think anyone has the complete, notebook on exactly, what you're looking for in those situations. But you take your best hunch with the, the kind of quality guy those guys are. And obviously they're talented enough to be in that NFL building. And then when they get their shot, you'll see what they can do.
What about from the mental side? I think with the Jets the last 2 years, you had like 3 guys who started games in each of those 2 seasons.
Sure.
Did you learn anything to prepare guys who don't know whether they're going to start or not, and go through the course of preparation?
Again, you just, it's such a big job for the quarterback coach to make sure, as the coordinator, Sean, as the head coach, is getting the 11 out there that are, going to play ready to go, plus a few other guys, backs. Obviously, there's always going to be 2 guys in a perfect world that are going to go. But, Zach Robinson stands back there every day with Rip, and you wouldn't even know they're there. They are just so locked into doing their thing, and they're not talking to anybody else. And so when that time is called, you're ready to go. And so that's a big part of the quarterback coach's job, because Sean's inevitably going to be talking to Matthew every play. He's giving him the play. He's going to have something for him at the end of series. I'm going to have something, obviously, during practice. And then he's going to get to Zach. Well, Zach's with Rip the entire time. So they've already kind of discussed the set that Matthew usually goes through. And now, and then they go from there and go through it with Matthew.
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
Great question, Joe.